Hello, everyone. It is me. As you know, I am just a guy trying to make the best what if fan fiction on YouTube, but I'm pretty sure you already know that. I'm actually here to give you all part 8, I believe 8, yes, on what if Carrie from the Stephen King book Carrie met Andrew from the 2012 found footage movie Chronicle. Now, in this one, it's actually going to be more about Christine wanting to go to prom. But if you've seen or read any of the Carrie stories, you probably already know that that's not going to happen for obvious reasons. But I'm pretty sure you would rather hear about the reasons than just me explaining the whole thing through. So, by all means, why not just get it started already?
Ch8, I'm officially out of prom. With Steve and Samantha. Steve was watching Samantha do her cheerleading routine with the rest of the cheerleaders and smiled when she saw Steve watching. When they were done with their cheer, she immediately ran to Steve and they embraced in an enthusiastic kiss. "Hey babe, it's been a while since we've kissed like that," Steve said with a charming grin. "Yeah, I wonder whose fault that is," Samantha said sarcastically as she walked away from Steve. "Come on girl, I said I was sorry, what else do you want?" Steve asked in hope that there's something he can do to make up for neglecting her. "To make up for lost time, you owe me that much," Samantha said. Okay, but that's why I came. I wanted to ask you to come to prom with me, 'cause that way, you'll have me all to yourself," Steve said in a hopeful manner. Samantha turned around, smiled, pulled Steve to her close, and kissed him. "So, that's a yes?" Steve asked with a hopeful smile. Samantha smiled back and happily shook her head yes as she kissed him again. When they both parted from the kiss, Steve smiled and said, "All right, I already have a tux rented, so you can trust me to be ready when that time comes." Samantha smiled. "I already have a dress, so you know I'll be ready when you come by," she said with another kiss. "Okay, what time do you want me to pick you up?" Steve asked. "Around 9:30. Don't be late, 'cause this is your last chance before I break up with you. Remember that," she said sassily. "All right, I'll see you," Steve said before walking out of the gym with a proud smile. Later with Matt and Casey between periods. As they were in the hall trying to get to their classes, Matt ran into Casey. "Hey prom is coming up soon, and I was wondering if you were going," Matt asked feeling somewhat nervous. "Yeah, but no one has asked me yet," Casey said secretly hoping that Matt will ask her. "Okay, well, I don't have a date either, so I was kind of hoping that you would come with me to prom," Matt asked in a casual, but somewhat hopeful manner. Though he wasn't showing any visible signs of it, he was secretly nervous. "Yeah, that would be nice, I'd love to go with you," Casey said with a grin. Casey may have been showing minimum excitement, but deep down, she was overjoyed and somewhat satisfied that Matt asked her. "Great. When do you want me to pick you up?" Matt asked with enthusiasm. "Around 9 o'clock or 9:30. She answered casually. "So, see you then," she said with a grin before walking away. Turning her face away to hide her excitement from Matt. Matt stood there with a smile and a feeling of pride and excitement in his chest. But then the tardy bell rang to snap him out of his moment of self-triumph, and he immediately began a quick walk to his next class. In the principal's office with Christine Hargensen, her father, and Miss Desjardins. This gym teacher was running Chrissy into the ground and used profanity. I believe the term shitty was used. "She can't do that, that's an abuse of power," Mr. Hargensen said. You're right, Daddy, that's what she said. Shitty, she's really abusive. Christine said in a low voice. Miss Desjardins was reprimanded for what happened in class today, but you know we've had a lot of problems with your daughter in the past, and now. But what she did to her classmate Carrie White. I mean, the girl was having her first. Principal Morton didn't allow himself to finish that sentence. What, your daughter and her posse? Principal Morton was cut off by Mr. Hargensen. Look, I'm not going to sit here and listen to half-truths. I know my daughter, she said she didn't do it. I want her prom privileges restored. Mr. Hargensen demanded. You can't prove she did anything, can you? He asked. Christine made a subtle grin, for she thought she was getting her way. Till Miss Desjardins says, well, I believe there is a video of the incident, and I believe it was your daughter who was the one that took it. Christine's eyes looked down with a pout. I think a video like that would probably be pretty damning to anyone in it, especially to the person who made it. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Hargensen? Miss Desjardins asks. I mean, I don't know, I'm just a gym teacher, but I think a video like that would affect college admissions, possibly a lawsuit, tons of bad publicity. Wonder what the Today Show would do with a video like that? Miss Desjardins asks. I think we should just look at her phone, and if it's not there, I owe you a huge apology, and she should be allowed to go to prom. Miss Desjardins said. Mr. Hargensen looks at his daughter, and she has panic in her eyes. He sharply inhales, and simply says, Chris. Christine even turns her frightful pout to Principal Morton, and he stretches out his hand in approval. Okay, give it to them, Chris. Mr. Hargensen says to her. Then Christine scoffs and says, Daddy, I'm not going to give him my phone, I have personal things on here, isn't that an invasion of privacy? Mr. Hargensen makes an exasperated sigh. Chrissy, you want to go to prom, just give him your damn phone and we can be done with this. I've got to get back to work, he says in a low, irritable manner. But Dad. She tries to argue. But he quickly and impatiently grabs her hand and says, God damn it. Just give them your phone, Chris. He demands. She looks around the room and knows that she's completely backed into a corner. She knows what's on her phone, and there's nothing she can do to change their minds. No. She said as she snatched her hand away from her father, picked up her bag, and quickly walked out of the office. Later in the gym. In the gym, everyone was decorating it and getting it ready for the upcoming senior prom. Till Christine Hargensen walked in with a sad, defeated look on her face. Well, I'm officially out of prom, Christine said in a disappointed manner. Though I bet that old asshole Morton loses his job. I think my dad is suing him. She said, trying to cheer herself up with some constellation news. Jesus, Sue, why didn't you stand up for me? We can have them by the balls. Christine asked Sue in mild exasperation. We deserved it, for what we did to Carrie White. I thought I deserved it. Sue said in a sad, remorseful manner. Christine rolls her eyes and exhales in exasperation. Desjardins was right. We did a shitty thing for no reason. Sue said. Bullshit. That Carrie goes around saying that everyone but her and her mother are going to hell and you stuck up for her? Come on. Christine said, ranting dramatically. You can be such a pig sometimes, Chris. What did Carrie White ever do to you? Sue asks her. She's been begging for it since the 6th grade, Sue. Christine said. I got to go. Sue simply says as she picked up her bag and was about to leave the gym. Hey, I seem to remember you were there throwing shit with the rest of us. What was it that she was calling her? Freak? Christine asked. I stopped. Sue said. Oh, you stopped? Christine asked, feeling that she's finally found something to properly argue about. Though she's really just trying to change the subject from herself to Sue. Why did you keep running, Sue? Christine keeps asking her as Sue kept trying to leave, but Christine kept standing in her way and pushing her back till she answered. Stop it, Chris. Sue says loudly in annoyance. You kept running, Sue, sweet little Susie, because you've been dreaming about senior year and the perfect boyfriend, and the perfect prom your whole goddamn life. You already booked the hotel, already practiced the sounds you're going to make when you and Tommy make love. Christine asked in mocking pants. That's why you've had this bullshit change of heart. While Sue looked down in sad thought, Christine makes a mocking, sinister chuckle. You don't give a shit about Carrie White, and everybody knows it. Christine said. But Sue looked up with an intimidating and somewhat exasperated glare as she stared sharply at Christine. Interesting conclusion you made about me. Well, here's mine about you. You're obviously just pissy that you can't even go to prom and do any of that stuff, and you're just trying to make up any argument to justify yourself cause you don't even want to deal with the fact that you were wrong about what you did to Carrie. Sue said, staring daggers at Christine. You want to try and talk about me not giving a shit about Carrie White? Do you want to admit that you were wrong about making that video about Carrie and posting it? Hi. Sue asked, giving an angry, exasperated glare. Then Christine rolled her eyes in exasperated annoyance and went silent for a lack of anything better to say or to defend herself. Didn't think so. Now get the hell out of my way. Sue said, pushing Christine out of her way. Fine. I'll see you around, Sue. Christine said in a defeated tone. With Andrew and Carrie after school. Hey Carrie, I was wondering if you didn't mind coming with me to see my house. He asked her nervously. Carrie shook her head no. Sorry, my mom's really on me about being out so late. So sorry, she said with an apologetic look. Okay, see you tomorrow then. Andrew said with a disappointed frown. Andrew was about to fly off, till he heard Carrie. Hey, Andrew? I still have some time to spare, would it be okay if you come with me? Carrie asked. Yeah, that sounds great. Andrew answered quickly with excitement and enthusiasm and was grateful that he doesn't have to go home to his abusive and demoralizing father. Then Andrew touched back down to the ground. Though his feet barely left the ground. Great, so where are we going? Andrew asked with an enthusiastic grin and raised his eyebrows in anticipation. Though he was secretly suppressing the urge to jump for joy and excitement. Just around. She simply says to him with a smile. Then she walked off and Andrew followed soon after. They eventually walked into an area where they wouldn't be seen and flew off into the air. As they were soaring through the sky, Carrie looked down and saw a dress shop. Though she just wanted to land in front of the shop, she found a blind alley to land in so that no one would see them and walked in front of the shop. Andrew raised an eyebrow in curiosity, then when he looked at Carrie's smiling face and looked in the window of the dress shop, he grinned in realization. I see, you're looking at a dress for prom. Andrew asked. Yeah, something like that. Will you wait here for a moment? Carrie asked him. Yeah, okay. Andrew said, followed by a nod. Carrie walked into the shop and looked around in wonder at all of the dresses that she could pick out. But unbeknownst to either of them, Christine Hargensen and the rest of her friends were walking nearby and they all noticed Andrew looking into a dress shop. Most of them just laughed at him and called him a weird pervert for looking into a dress shop, but Christine's curiosity got the better of her and went across the street to Andrew. She was about to ask him what he was looking at, but when she looked in the shop, she saw a familiar redhead looking around the shop. As Christine continues to look at who she assumes is Carrie looking around the shop, she sees her stroking a piece of pink cloth then unraveling it. As Carrie unraveled the pink cloth, she gave a grin from ear to ear. Andrew may not have seen her grin, but he still smiled, assuming that she was. I swear when I take you to prom, I'll make sure you have a great time, and I'm going to tell you I love you. Andrew promised himself. Christine grimaced out of anger and jealousy and turned around and walked away in a huff. Andrew turned around in worry and curiosity for he thought he heard something, but it was just a brunette walking away in a seemingly angry manner. Andrew shrugged his shoulders and turned back around to see that Carrie was paying for the bit of cloth she had, then she folded it up and put it in her book bag. Well, I think this is where we part ways and go home. Andrew asked with a grateful grin, but deep down he felt a little disappointed that he would have to leave to go home to his demoralizing father. Actually, I think I still have some time left. I'm sure we have time to go to your house and you can introduce me to your mother. Carrie said with a delightful grin. Andrew grinned back. Thanks. He said to her. Then he looked down and thought and raised his eyebrows in realization. Oh. I almost forgot. I have to go to the drugstore and pick up my mom's medication. I hope you don't mind coming along, cause it won't take long. I already know what medicine to get, so I'll be in and out before you know it," he said with a hopeful pleading frown. Carrie took a second to answer, but she shook her head yes in agreement. She said she didn't mind as long as it was quick. When they finally got there, the man behind the counter said that the copay on that is $750.83. Andrew frowned when he heard that. "Sorry, I don't have all that," he said. "Look kid, I told your father, now I'll tell you, unless you have that in cash or credit, I cannot help you," the man said. "Prick," Andrew mumbled as he walked out of the store. But Carrie had an idea that could help Andrew but could get her in a lot of trouble with her mom. She looked at Andrew who was standing outside waiting for her, then she took out her mother's credit card from her pocket. "It's to help a friend, I'm sure it'll be worth it," she mumbled to herself. "Excuse me sir, will this help?" she asked him. Then he took the card, scanned it, and after looking at the amount of money on it, he said that he could help her, but the dose of it would be lower than it normally is. And then when Andrew was happy to see a bag of medicine in a little white bag, he was both excited and relieved, till she told him that it's a lower dose than usual. He frowned at first, but shrugged his shoulders and said that it was better than nothing. And besides, I bet if she took 2 of them that would make up for the dose being so low. He half thought out loud as they both took to the sky. At Andrew's house. When they got there, they both landed nearby and walked up to the door. When they walked in, Richard was sitting on his couch as usual watching TV. "It's about time you got here, did you get the medi?" Richard trailed off in surprise, for he didn't expect Andrew to bring anyone over. "Yeah, I got it. I'm about to give it to her right now, and to get the introductions out of the way, Dad, this is Carrie White, she's a friend from school, and Carrie, this is my dad, he used to be a firefighter," Andrew mentioned awkwardly. Carrie gave an awkward timid wave to him. "Nice to meet you," Carrie said softly. "Hello," Richard said before he turned his head back to the TV. Then they went to Karen's room and Carrie saw a sickly woman lying down wearing breathing tubes and machines were around her. She turned to both Carrie and Andrew walking in. "Hey Mom, I got you your medicine, not really the dose it should be, but if you take 2, I'm sure that will make up for it. I was able to get it with this girl's help," he said gesturing to her. "This is Carrie White, she's the girl I told you about, the friend I made at school," Andrew said looking between the two. Karen made a grin as she looked to Andrew. "So this is the girl?" Karen asked with a bit of sass in her voice. Then she turned to Carrie and held out her hand. "Hi, I'm Andrew's mom," Karen said in a welcoming but sickly manner. Carrie reached out and shook her hand with a grin. "I know, Andrew's told me all about you," Carrie said with a smile that's practically said it's nice to meet you. "So, did you ask her yet?" Karen asked with a sly grin. "Really Mom?" Andrew said in an embarrassed flustered manner. "Yeah, he did, and I said yes," Carrie answered with a smile and looked at Andrew who still looked a little embarrassed. Carrie giggled a bit looking at Andrew who had a tinge of pink in his cheeks. Karen smiled as she turned to Andrew. "She seems like a great girl Andrew, treat her right," she practically demanded with a grin. Then she turned to Carrie with the same grin. "And you take care of my boy, make sure he stays good, and that he doesn't fall into any bad habits," she says with a soft smile. "Okay, I will," Carrie said shaking her head yes with a pleasant smile. "It's been really nice meeting you Miss Detmer," Carrie said maintaining her pleasant cheery smile. "Thanks for coming over, it's been great to see that my son's making friends. He especially needs someone like you by his side," Karen said smiling back at Carrie. Andrew walked over to kiss his mother's forehead and gave a warm but worried grin mumbling "I love you, Mom" before he and Carrie walked out. But as Andrew turned off the light and was about to walk out, he used his telekinesis to turn his mother to her side and move the blankets all the way up to her neck. "Thank you," she said in a sickly raspy voice. At Carrie's house, Andrew waved goodbye and gave a pleasant grin as Carrie walked all the way back to her house, but as she was walking, she started to have regrets about going with Andrew to pick up his mother's medication. 'Cause as she was walking to her house, she saw her mother standing outside next to her car. "Where have you been?" Margaret asked in a worried but angry manner. And lightning flashed. "I hope Andrew will be okay," Carrie thought worriedly. "I was worried sick." "Come on, inside," Margaret said worriedly. "Sorry I'm late again, Mama. I was just trying to help a friend." Carrie tried to explain, but her mother just kept pushing her inside the house and locked the door behind them. "Your supper's cold, I'm going to have to heat it up," Margaret said. "I'm sorry, I didn't know," Carrie said. Then Margaret looked over to Carrie with an almost shocked expression. "You're immodest," Margaret said in a shocked whisper. Margaret took Carrie's backpack from her and went to the kitchen in a quick angry pace and sat the backpack on a chair. "I didn't know where you were. I didn't know." "No, Mama, me and a friend from school took a bus to Main Street and bought cloth for a dress," Carrie said, trying to explain herself, but her mother was acting too frantic to pay very much attention. "You are not to go anywhere but to school and back. You know that," Margaret said angrily. "I think I might have let this go on too long," Margaret mumbled to herself. "Mama, before you say anything else, I've been asked to prom." Margaret didn't seem to be paying attention as she just shut her oven door and turned on her oven. So Carrie repeated herself. "Oh, God, why?" Margaret mumbled as she was looking up. "It's next Saturday, and he's a very nice boy," Carrie said. "And he'll come and meet you before, and he promised to have me home by 10:30. Carrie said. "No, no, no," Margaret kept saying in a low voice. "I already accepted," Carrie said. Margaret inhaled sharply. "I know this scares you, it scares me too. The other kids, they think I'm weird, but I don't want to be, not really. I just want to make friends like a normal person would, and Andrew makes me feel like a normal person. At first, I thought it might be too late for me to ever feel like a normal person, till I met him and his friends. And now, I feel like I can be a whole person. And it kind of makes me feel hopeful for once," Carrie said in a hopeful manner. Then Margaret put her hands on both sides of Carrie's face and her expression softened into a smile. Carrie gave a hopeful smile back. But then Carrie's smile disappeared when she heard her mother say, "He'll hurt you." "No, Mama, there are bad people, but not Andrew, you'll like him, he's a very nice boy," Carrie said to her. "Boys, boys after the blood," comes the boys sniffing, slobbering like dogs. "Stop it, Mama," Carrie said, walking away from her. Then as Margaret was following Carrie, she continued. "He's going to paw at you until he finds where that blood smell comes from. He's going to take you, Carrie, in his car out to the wilderness, out where it's cold and where roadhouses are and the whiskey," Margaret said. "Stop being so crazy," Carrie snapped urgingly. "You tell that boy you're not going," Margaret said in a demanding tone. "No," Carrie said defiantly. "We'll move from here, we're never going to stop moving," Margaret said in a grim tone. "No, Mama," Carrie said loudly, backing away from her. "You're going to go to your closet and pray. You're going to get in there and you're going to pray for forgiveness," Margaret said in a grim, demanding tone. And as she was about to grab Carrie's arm, Carrie's emotions got the better of her. "No. Never again, Mama," but as Carrie yelled and threw her arms down in frustration, the furniture around them flew up. Margaret screamed in shock and fright as she fell to her knees. Carrie looked around the room, then to her hands. "Then it has to be a strong emotion or something," she thought. Then when she looked back at her mother started mumbling a prayer. "Mama, stand up," Carrie said, looking at her in a pitying, remorseful manner. "Mama, stand up," Carrie said loudly as she lifted a hand, making her mother float several inches off the ground. Margaret gave a shocked whimper, looking down and seeing that her feet aren't even touching the ground. "Mama, I'm going," Carrie said softly. "Witch," Margaret said. "I'm not a witch, Mama, there are no witches," Carrie said, trying to assure her mother. "The devil's got her now. Like he did before," Margaret whispered frightfully. "It's not the devil, Mama. I've met other people at school, like me, who can do what I can do. Carrie said to her. You poor child. Don't you know he's working through you? Margaret asked. Mama, it's inherited. It was passed down from Grandma and it skipped you. You know that. Maybe it came from Daddy. Carrie said, trying to make sense of it. He gave me a cancer. I thought you were a cancer. Margaret said. Carrie grimaces in wounded sorrow as Margaret lurches in the air. Mama, that's awful, don't say that. Carrie says with a sad expression. Then as Margaret started praying while looking upwards, Carrie shook her head and says. Pray all you want, Mama, but I'm going. And nothing's going to stop me. Carrie said before dropping Margaret back to the floor. But once Margaret hit the floor, she began sobbing, which made Carrie feel a little sad inside. And I don't want to talk about it anymore, she said before slowly turning around and walking upstairs.
End of chapter 8. Yeah, first I would like to give some commenter shout outs to Creepy Cody and Jose the Yeet. Or Yet. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but shout out to him. And also Crazy Amanda. Hopefully you've seen this one. And also, okay, she never really left a comment or anything like that. But also Tessa from Mama's Geeky. I hope you've seen at least one of these. And I would also like to give a shout out to some of my favorite What If channels that have also been a personal inspiration for me. Ono Kage, otherwise known as the King, Black All Might, and Masako X as well. Those are the three that I can think of at the moment right now. And I would also like to point out that in chapter 9, it's actually going to be pretty short. So, sorry about that. And I'm also willing to say something else. I believe it's about, well, what I already pointed this out, but oh well. After the epilogue, I am actually willing to try something else. One where that they still meet, but their endings still happen like they did in canon. Vote on it, by the way. Okay, I don't know how yet, but I will eventually make a poll for anybody who would like to have that kind of story. So, until next time, I'll see you guys. And I hope that you guys like, comment, and subscribe and stuff like that. And share with your friends on YouTube or Facebook. Doesn't really matter. So, well, I don't want to say all the time, but still, see you next time.